Welcome to Talking Army Football. This is Sal Interdonato, Army football beat writer for the Times-Tower Record, here with Tony Coaxum, former cornerback for Army and assistant coach. And Tony, the Black Knights just keep on rolling with a 21-16 win over Duke at home. They closed the season at Michie Stadium 6-0, first time that's happened since 1996. And they got it done in a couple different ways. It wasn't their offense. Their offense kind of had a little bit of issues running the ball against Duke, and special teams and defense kind of stepped up to the plate on Saturday against the Blue Devils.
Yeah, that's always good to see. And as a coach, you constantly preach to your players and instill in your players that every aspect of the game is important. That as great as our offense is, there are going to be days when offense is going to struggle, or it's going to be just not what it used to be, and defense is going to have to step up and make a play, or special teams going to step up and make a play. Same thing. There are days you're a team that's built around defense. There may be a day, hey, offense, you might need to put 35 points up today. You know what I mean? So you have to always have that other thing, and special teams wise, being coaching special teams the last 3 years in the NFL. It's, you have to be, special teams, you just have to be consistent. It's one of those things to where you always, you may not necessarily be the reason you win a game, but as a special teams, you can't afford to ever be a reason why you lose a game. And, their special teams have been consistent all year, and they made a big play, blocking a punt and getting a touchdown out of it that really comes down to was the difference in the ball game. So, and when you see that, you preach that all through camp and all through the season, and every weekend and week out, when you have a type of game like this weekend where, hey, you needed all three phases to do something. Offense wasn't quite, what it normally is, but you got a huge play on special teams. We got some big plays out of defense. That reinforces everything, and that makes your team stronger. And again, you're going to need a win like that, once or twice a year to really put your team over the top. And then that's why, we're sitting, finish the year at home undefeated and sitting at 8-2 and still rolling.
Yeah, it's incredible. That's the second straight year Army's beat an ACC team. Last year they beat Wake Forest. And, just talking to Coach Munkin and Javari Bordeaux, they practiced that all week long heading into the Duke game on blocking the punt and then scooping it up and scoring. Coach Munkin said, Tony, you coach special teams. Tony said that he wanted his players to get in the proper position to scoop up the ball, because sometimes when those plays happen, it's a little bit of a chaotic scene. But he actually coached his players during practice that week just to be positioned right with their bodies so they can. He thought that they could get a touchdown out of a block punt in the game, and it came to fruition. How important is just having your body, just positioned and knowing where you are on the field?
It's very important, and it's like in everything. This game is a game of repetition and of body position and just doing things that you practice all the time. And that's huge. And every special team drill I've ever done, it always finishes with, we always have a finisher in it, whether it be making a tackle or something like, especially in punt block drills, of scooping and score, because that's the next level of it. It's one thing to block a punt or block a kick, but now if you're able to scoop that ball up and score, that's just like blocking is like a double or something, or a triple. And when you're able to scoop and score it, that's a inside the park home run or a grand slam, or in basketball, that's a 4-point play. You know what I mean? That's the ultimate dagger when you're able to not only make a big play like that, like block a kick and score. It's just like, you get an interception, you get a pick six. That's just icing on the cake. Or you scoop up and you fumble and score. Those auxiliary touchdowns, are huge in games. So, and yeah, you practice, you put your players in a position to be in position to scoop that ball up. And there's a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different techniques of doing it. But it's just, making sure your knees are bent and you to secure that ball, and you want to have it going towards your end zone, because obviously, hey, things happen. You get hit, or you didn't actually get the first time. The ball rolls towards your end zone, and you finally do recover it. If you don't score it, you're closer to your end zone. But it's just getting it down and getting your hands underneath it and pushing it and getting it towards your end zone. Bending your knees, just like everything else in football. You want to bend at your knees and not your waist. And again, there's a lot of different techniques of scooping up, some pressing it against the ground to stop it from moving and picking it up, and all those things are vital. And when you practice that, and when it happens in the game, it becomes second nature, just like it is, for a quarterback center exchange, or catching the ball and tucking it, or a running back when they get in traffic, adding that fifth point of contact to the ball. All those things become second nature, and that's what you want. So, Coach Monken has a special teams background, and obviously, you coach those things and you reinforce it. So when it happens in the game, they're not thinking about it. They just scoop it, pick it up, and you get the result that we got this past week.
You watch Army in practice, just how much work they put into special teams. It was up to 5 periods of their practice early in Monken's career at West Point, and they still, he positions the guys, and he will move the guys to exactly the spot that they should be on the field during kickoffs, kickoff coverage, onside, the hands team, and even like we saw with the block punts. The defense, you really, wow, Elijah Riley, his second game back, and what an impact he's made, Tony. He had a hand in 2 sacks in the game, and he had an interception to, he's really made a difference. We talked about the difference that him and Ryan England made against Air Force the week before, and that defense didn't really give up too much to a Duke team that has some pretty explosive players on it on Saturday.
Yeah, it was, it was great to see, again, an exceptional player like Elijah come in and not only make the plays. I believe he had a big interception, had a couple pass breakups, was flagged for one that was not a penalty in my opinion, but played well there. And then the 2 sacks on the corner blitzes, over the years, just I know Coach Bateman, has utilized that call a lot. And the real cool thing about that is just seeing how it played out. And again, I'm, not being able to see the film that they studied, but both of those corner blitzes came from, I believe Brinson was both times where, he's really, rushing from the outside and kind of like in a contained position. In both of those times, usually those corner blitzes come strictly off of the edge of the defense, but whether it was by design and based on how they designed the blitz, or just by natural, football awareness and IQ by Elijah, with the edge rusher getting upfield outside, both of those blitzes, he came inside that tackle and kind of naturally filled that scheme. And again, whether it was something that they saw in how they protected and they schemed it that way, or like I said, it was just a natural progression by Elijah of making the adjustment and being aware that, hey, there's no need for me to rush outside. There's a big rush lane here. He naturally just folded right inside and made 2 huge plays in that part of the field. And again, one that, real close to being, I think the one in the fourth quarter, it looked like should have been a sack strip.
Yeah.
And cover, and they know it was hard for them to make that call based off the replay, but that was a great play on both of those. And like I said, that's just great awareness by that kid of being able to feel and then get in there and make a play when it was presented to him.
We talked a little bit about, he's not your typical corner at West Point, Elijah Riley. He's a big kid, and you look at the hit he laid on Daniel Jones and on that fourth quarter sack. He lit the Duke quarterback up. And you just look at this talent on defense. Yes, you have John Voight, Alex Ackerman, and Ryan England, who are seniors, but Cole Christensen, inside linebacker, he's a first-year starter. He's a sophomore. He was recognized by Pro Football Focus with the analytics of being one of the top 3 linebackers in the country with a grade in the 91% this week, Tony. He had 10 tackles against Duke, and Coach Monken says he's getting better each game he plays. And him and Nautical, at first during the season, they were kind of mixing and matching there with James Nautical, Cole Christensen, and Scott Washley. Over maybe I see the last 3-4 games, they've really come to a group with Christensen and Nautical, and those guys are playing at a high level.
Yeah, they really are. I've been impressed by those guys. I believe Nautical's, he's a sophomore or junior.
He's a junior, yeah.
I know. Yeah, I know he has a brother, maybe who I'm confusing, that's younger. But, I remember him last year in spot duty, just seeing the kid come in and, pass rush situations or in third downs. And just every time he was on the field, he was making plays in the limited reps that he was getting. So you could see the future he had as a future starter. But, when you have it, it's been a pretty seamless transition from, having the guys like, King and Timp in there for all those years, and then have these two young guys kind of step in there, and really there's been no drop-off. And those guys have played at a high level and doing their thing and doing, maximizing their talent. And again, being a sophomore and a junior, that's a beautiful thing, because now, you're going to have, two more stout guys in there for the next couple of years who've been getting a lot of valuable experience. And just to see the physicality they play with and the speed. I mean, you take Nautical, I guess you couldn't really tell if it was a delayed blitz or, when you saw the quarterback drop the ball, he just engaged and came really flying, exploded in there, made a big hit on the quarterback. And then having the speed on the one when the running back, who can really run, took it down the sideline, and he was able to, adjust his angle and run that guy down and make basically would have been a touchdown-saving tackle. Again, just to see the athleticism of those inside backers and their physicality is real impressive for any school, but particularly at West Point. So it's exciting to see the young defense play. And again, we're going to be losing some guys, and like you mentioned, with Ackerman and England and Voight and those guys. But you have got all those guys coming back, and Brinson will be a senior, and Max Regan got time early on, and he'll be back, and Gibson will be back, and obviously those two interior backers we just mentioned. So it's a great mix of veteran guys and then young guys who are starting to play like veterans, and it's exciting to see how the pipeline is just going to keep rolling.
Yeah, I was talking to Coach Munkin about the defensive line yesterday at practice, and when Andrew McLean went down with a knee injury, you were like, you really held your breath and said, "What's Army gonna do?" But what they just have done is moved right from a defensive end position to the nose over the center, and Wumbi Oyatuga Jr., who is a big defensive lineman for Army, about 6'4", 275, has really played pretty consistently good. So I mean, and with Coach Bateman, Tony, he mixes his schemes up so much where he'll sometimes play 5 DBs, sometimes he'll play sometimes he'll leave John Voight on the field with a bunch of linebackers and defensive backs, in passing downs, and everything seems to be clicking now for the defense. In the last 2 games, I mean, shutting out Air Force, only giving up 16 points to Duke. It's just, and now you're facing a North Texas team who could put some points on the board. They're 7-3. Army knows this team pretty well. It should be a pretty it's an under the radar game, I think, in college football this week. An 8-2 Army team versus a 7-3 North Texas team. Probably be a pretty good game to another good game for Army to gauge where it is, right? I mean, just going on the road and facing a good team and beating a team with a winning record,
Yeah, absolutely. Like you nailed it, Coach Bateman. Obviously he's one of the best coordinators in the country, and he does a great job of just using the abilities and maximizing the abilities of his guys and the different packages in order to be most effective. And like you said, you nailed it. Playing North Texas, this will be the 3rd time in 2 years, which is really rare. We ended up playing them twice last year, if I remember right.
Yeah, in the bowl game,
early on in the season, and then we beat them in the bowl game, and now we're matched up with them again. And even before that, I know my years there, Coach, when we played them just about every year. So it's a lot of history between playing North Texas and Army over the last 5, 6, 7 years, and both teams are doing well, and like I said, 8-2 and 7-3, and it should be an exciting game. And slightly different styles, obviously, what we do offensively and what they do offensively, and both teams know each other well and play hard, and you can see the respect they have for each other when you play another team that much over such a short period of time, especially going on the 3rd time in 2 years, and probably the 4th or 5th time in 3 years, however you want to look at it, or 3 or 4 years. Both teams are ready to to go, and I know they're looking to bounce back from losing the bowl game, and we want to go down there and keep the train rolling and get another win. And it'll be a nice chess match, and like I said, it'll be an exciting game, and they're familiar with our offense because again they've played it so much the last couple of years. So there won't be many secrets, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
I'm sure both staffs on both sides of the ball, they're looking for one or two plays that the other hasn't seen to try to make a big play, because again, such the familiarity between both programs and seeing what they having so much tape on them against your own personnel. It's one thing to have tape against playing other teams, but when you can really just focus on, hey, this is what we've done. You have, over the head going to 3-4 years, you probably have 200-300 plays offensively and defensively where you can look at against your scheme and your players and say, this is what worked, this is what didn't. And now you can adjust your game plan, and both sides are looking for, hey, they've never seen us do this. Let's put this in here and see if this can be a huge play for us in the game, offensively, defensively, and special teams. So it'll be a fun game. It'll be exciting to see. Hopefully, it's on the road, so hopefully I'll be able to check it out on TV somewhere. I've got to find out where it's being played to try to watch it this weekend. But it should be a lot of fun, and it'll be another hard-fought game.
Yeah, I'm thinking about adding the sports package on my DirecTV because it's on beIN Sports, and that's not everybody gets beIN Sports. But you look at you look at Army 6 in a row now, and North Texas is in the same boat as Army. They're 5-0 at home, and they're looking to finish their home slate undefeated on Saturday. So there, like you said, there's a lot to play for in this game. I wrote a column earlier this week on, the rankings and the top 25, and does Army deserve to be in the top 25? They're 8-2. You look at it's just the way the schedules play out. They haven't beaten a team with a winning record yet. Temple's 5-5, and Temple's a pretty good team, but they're playing the independent schedule in a way helps Army as far as setting up their their matchups. But when you can't compare an Army independent schedule most of the time to like a Power 5 conference schedule, Tony. So what's your thought on Army and if they should be getting some consideration in the top 25?
Yeah, that's going to come. And again, I always try to look at things from a coaching perspective and even in-house. That's the last thing they're worried about. Yeah, it'd be cool to have a little number in front of your name. You're saying 25th ranked Army, 22nd ranked, whatever that is. But the only way you control that is continue to play well and continue to win. That's how that comes along. And you continue to win ball games. Hey, you're going to get that recognition, and you're going to get ranked. I mean, the reason we're talking about that now is because why? We've been playing well, and we've been winning ball games. And the way you get yourself out of those conversations and start worrying about other things, and it detracts from your preparation, and you lose. So I guarantee you that there's not a conversation that any of those players or coaches are having right now. That's for us as fans to worry about, and you as a writer, and that's all cool stuff that's going on. But you get ranked by winning ball games, and they go out and win this week, and basically you win this week, and you beat Navy, and you win the bowl game. I'll be pretty confident we'll be ranked. But if you're not ranked, guess what? It has no impact on your season. You'd still be 11-2 and win back-to-back bowl games, and then that's for other people to worry about. Sometimes it's a good thing to be overlooked a little bit, and that just adds to the fire a little bit. But bottom line is you continue to win. Good things will happen to you. You'll get the recognition that's due to you, and like I say, don't worry about who's on your schedule. You beat whoever's in front of you. That's the goal, and everything else will take care of itself from there.
You gotta love the Army fans' enthusiasm when they see a point spread, come up. And Army was not favored at home against Duke last week, even though they were undefeated at home, even though they've won 5 games in a row. Now they go on the road. Army fans saying they're getting no respect again at North Texas. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, Tony. I mean, the the interest and the enthusiasm of the Army fan base is just, I mean, of course, that's what winning does. But it's kind of nice to see that, because I can't tell you when it was a struggle how many emails I got about, this play, that play, coaches should go, what are players doing, and now it's like a totally new. Wow, I mean, you look at the senior class and what they've accomplished. It's incredible, because they were 4-8 freshman year, 2-10 their sophomore year, and now back-to-back 8-win seasons. I mean, and they are pretty much, they're kind of the core and they're the foundation of Coach Monken's tenure at Army. They were one of the first. They were his first class, so to speak. The first players. Some were recruited by the previous coaching staff that you were on. So I mean, these guys have been through a lot.
Yeah, it really has, and like I said, you mentioned that. I remember those days not so fondly when it comes to that stuff, because in the life of a coach, I've heard those talks about coaches needing to go. I've heard those talks about people saying I needed to go. You know what I mean? And hey, that's the life of a coach. But for those young men there, yeah, like I said, it's. We talked about it before. Some of the seniors are kids that were part of the class that I recruited. Like, obviously, we've talked about Brett Toth before. He's a kid I recruited. I recruited Scott Washley. John Trainer is a kid who was in the class. Met with his dad and him throughout his visit. I remember on his visit. Same with Bradshaw and McLean, and so all those guys, Boyd, all those kids. They hold us. A special place from our, because there were kids that we told we were bringing into the fold and say, hey, believe in this and believe in what this place is about, what it could do, and believe in the brotherhood. More importantly, it wasn't about us as coaches believing in the brotherhood, because that's what gets it turned around, and to see them to get that and get to where they are now, it's real fulfilling, and it's real happy. We're happy. I'm happy as a coach, as a guy that met these kids when they were 17 years old, but even more so with being part of the brotherhood and the bond of Army football, seeing the kids, see these kids have that success, and that's a big difference from people talking about these coaches need to go and this and that, and now being concerned that, hey, why are we a 2-point underdog, or why aren't we ranked? It's a whole different, or sorry, why aren't we getting consideration for bigger bowls? We'll love to have those conversations all day, every day. And like I said, that's the benefits of winning, and that's the key part. Let the players take care of the winning, and the coaches take care of the winning, and the fans can enjoy all those other benefits of having a winning program, talking about rankings and bowl bids and bigger bowl bids and stuff like that. So it's all a plus. When you win, good things like that happen.
It's incredible, because you look at 2 years ago, they were 2-10. They lost 7 games by 7 points or less. They really played tough at Penn State, had a couple heartbreaking losses, and some people were like, is Jeff Monken the right guy? And I went to the team banquet that year, and he said that they were going to flip the record, or flip the program over to being a winning program. Wow, it's happened, and it's been amazing to watch, because you look at we talked about the moments, we talked about the Navy win, we talked about the Air Force win 2 weeks ago. Now, like you said, if you can just win out. If you went out this season and have a 9-game winning streak, and then you're looking at when's the last time that happened? That Tony, you were there, 1996. Army started off with 9 straight wins in the regular season, right? And you just look at wow. I mean, this is really something that's happening at West Point. And you look at what they're doing in recruiting, and kids like I talked to 4 or 5 kids that visited on Saturday, and they all talked about the electric atmosphere at West Point. They all talk about, these are kids who committed. They all talked about that. No doubt, it solidified that this was the right choice. They want to come here and be a part. It's amazing what's happening there. In a 2-year stretch, and now still going on.
Yeah, like I said, I have so much respect for what Coach Monken's done from the day he was hired. I could just, from his passion and how he spoke about things, and obviously he knew what it's like to have to change a program coming from. When I say a program, I'm talking specifically in terms of the academy, because of his time at Navy. So I could really see that things. And what people don't understand is you think of the great programs in college football. They're great for a reason. It's hard. I tell people all the time, it's hard to break a losing culture, or just like it is hard to break a winning culture. You know what I mean? Because it's built in. Those teams that win all the time, they have stretches in games or a point in the season where they're losing a game or things are down, look like they may lose, and it takes one play. They take one play, and all of a sudden they flip. Okay, now this is what we're used to. Well, the exact opposite thing happens when you've been a part of a program that you lost a lot of games. You could be playing well, you could be beating people that quote unquote you're not supposed to beat, and one negative play can bring you back down. Oh, this is what normally happens, and that's just reality. That's just what it is. And a program isn't built overnight. It takes time. You get a new coach, and it takes 3-4 years for that stuff to build and to get everybody on the same page. And unfortunately, it's gotten to a point a lot in college, particularly in college football, to where people expect the 1 year turnarounds, expect things to happen just like that overnight. Well, there's only a couple guys that are capable of that. And it's just truth. And one's in Alabama and one's in Ohio State. Those guys, they get somewhere, those guys win immediately. You know what I mean? And they're just, that's why they're who they are. That's why Coach Saban is who he is. He's never had a losing season as a collegiate head coach. That's unheard of.
Yeah.
And I don't think Coach Meyer has either, or if he has, it hadn't been many. They're just special human beings when it comes to coaching football. And everyone had, there's something like that in different sports. The rest of us, normal coaches, we have to grind it out. We have to put things together, and we have to really, we need that time to get it going. And Coach Monken has done that. He came in, he instilled what he needed to get done, and you saw some early signs. Then you had a little dip that second year, and then it just built from there. And fans aren't always patient, and you can understand that. That's why they're fans. But coaches get it, and you can see what he was doing from the get-go. And I told people, myself, I was like, that year, talking about the Penn State game and those things, I was like, hey, you make a play here and there, we win that game.
Yeah.
You do something here and there, you win that game. You lose, like I said, losing games by 3 or 4 games by a total of 15 points or something like that. That's a sign. It's you lost, but that's a positive sign. When before you were losing each game by 15 points, you know what I mean? And as a coach, those are things you like to see. And obviously, it's been working and building, and the confidence is there. And like I said, it's a solid foundation, and it's going to continue to get better.
Yeah, it's gotten really, for me as a beat writer, to how are they going to lose the game until now to how are they going to win the game? What are they going to do to pull out the game? Because in the past, just seeing like the different ways that you sometimes I couldn't even write it. The ways that they couldn't break through, and now to see you see the Eastern Michigan game, you see the Temple game in overtime, you see the thumping against Air Force, and now you see holding in there against Duke. They figured it out. I mean, they figured out what it is, how to win games, and it's pretty neat to watch. We'll see what happens on Saturday at North Texas. Should be a good one. Again, it's on beIN Sports for people with DirecTV. I think you need the sports package, so you might have to ante up for that, or just go to the local restaurant or bar maybe to pick up the game. And Tony, it's been a pleasure again this week. We'll do it again real soon.
Yeah, it was really great, and like I said, last thing, just talking about how the team has pulled games out. It's one of those things I tell guys all the time. I tell players, and I've been using it for years. It's like you prepare for games like a boxing match. Boxers, they train for, it used to be 15 rounds, but you train for a 12-round fight, and that you train that, hey, this is going to be a 60-minute battle, and we're going to out-train. We're going to build ourselves ready to take the thing to the end. And a lot of the time, that's what it comes down to, and that's what it's been this year. It's been a hard fight down to the end, but every once in a while, if the other team isn't ready, that's when you get the knockouts. That's when you get the 60-point win or whatever it was when we beat UTEP a couple of years ago, or against Fordham early this year. So they've trained, the guys are training, and they're prepared for that 12-round battle every week. And if the team doesn't come ready for 12 rounds, they're going to get knocked out. But again, like most college teams, they come prepare for 12 rounds, and I'll take our guys in a 12-round fight over anybody any day. So it's been a pleasure talking again, and looking forward to seeing the guys go get another one this weekend down in North Texas.
Well said. We'll post this up on my Twitter account, and it'll be up on YouTube, Talking Army Football. Give it a listen, guys, and also check out at Sal Internado on Twitter and Periscope, Instagram, you name it, SoundCloud. I'm putting up some audio clips now of some interesting quotes from Jeff Monken, and I'll put up a story later this week on how Ryan England became a Black Knight. Thanks for joining us.